Hey everybody, this is Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap Iyanla Fix My Life Season 4, Episode 15, which was titled Family of Lies Day 2. So if you guys remember in Part 1, we were meeting the family of Alicia and her 6 daughters, and just getting to know them and know what their story is. And so day 2 picks up with Iyanla, talking to Alicia, because at the end of the last episode, she had just arrived at the house, and then all of a sudden the dynamics of the house changed, and there was a lot of tension, and we could see, some feelings coming out. And so I can't believe how much in denial Alicia is, even with Iyanla, telling her that the girls are stuck in their childhood, and unless she comes clean about her past life and share that with the girls, that they're never going to be able to move forward. Then she drops the bomb that she was molested while living with her grandparents, and I'm still like confused as to who molested her, because it seems like she said it was her brother, but I'm not sure because of course they kept beeping out who it was. But I was like more taken aback by how nonchalant she said it. It was like they were having the conversation, and then all of a sudden she just blurted out that she was molested when she lived at her grandparents' house. And so Iyanla points out that her daughters are living, the pain from her life. And she says that she can look at the girls and tell, what they feel. And she starts talking about, woundedness, which I don't even think is a word, but woundedness, brokenness, and, everything else. And I don't know. So, like I said, I don't know who molested her, because she left the grandparents' house to move in with her father and her stepmom, and she was saying how she was just happy to be away from the grandparents' house. And when she talked about being molested at the grandparents' house, she said she was in the 3rd grade, and whoever molested her used to come and pick her up from school and like take her back to the grandparents' house, I guess, and rape her. And then she turned around and said that when she lived with the father and the stepmother, that she got molested and raped over there. But then I couldn't tell if it was the same person that molested her, or if it was a different person, if it was a stepbrother. And I know that, Iyanla has to protect herself from legal liability, but I'm just like, they covered Iyanla's mouth, like blurred out Iyanla's mouth, so we couldn't even read her lips to see what name she was saying. So the whole molestation part, we know Alicia was molested twice. We know once by one person at the grandparents' house and someone at the father's house, but we don't know who this person is, what the relationship is. Hell, it might have been her father. I don't know, but we got to get through this recap without knowing exactly who we're talking about. Then she tells Iyanla that everyone knew that, she was being molested and didn't do anything about it. But then she turned around and let the father and the stepmother adopt the daughter named Preccious, which is the one that's like really upset because she was adopted. And then we didn't even, because in the last episode, the daughter named Bianca was actually adopted by the grandparents. So that means that she sent 2 of her children to live with people that had molested her. Because I think Iyanla asked her, does the person still come around? And she said, yes, that they do. And so this is like, she has 0% maternal instincts from what I'm seeing. And then it just always baffles me how people go through traumatic experiences, and then they turn around and do the same things to their kids, or don't protect their kids from it happening to them, and not just with molestation, but also with alcoholism, with physical abuse, mental abuse. I would just think, and I guess maybe I'm not a good person to speak on it because I've never gone through it, but I would just like to believe that if something happened to me, that I would want to spare my children from going through that same thing. And it's like no different than when I'm talking to my daughters about relationships, and even though they're going to do what they want to do, at least I try to tell them, like, hey, when a guy tells you this is what he's really saying, and when a person shows you this is what they mean. Now what they do after I give them the information is totally up to them. But I would just think in a situation where molestation was taking place, like Alicia has to really, really, really be messed up in the head to have like sent her children to be in the same situation that she had gone through. So Iyanla asked her, when did the moment come when she decided that she didn't want to be a mother, and she admits that she didn't want Preccious or Bianca. So my thing is, why do you keep having children? Because even after she gave them away, she turned around and had another child because Markel is the youngest one. But then from the looks of things, she wasn't a good mother to the older children either. So how do you end up with 6 kids when you know in your mind that you don't want to be a mother? And so Iyanla tells Alicia, that her pregnancies were sad, painful, and shameful, and that's what her daughters are living now, and that's why they're in the place that they are at this moment. So next we learn that Shay is really close with whomever molested Alicia when she was staying at the father's house, I think it is. And of course, Alicia, like I said, we don't know who the person is. And so she says that Shay doesn't know what happened. So once again, you're leaving your kids exposed, because not only did you let these people raise Preccious, but then you let Shay, which is why I'm thinking it was a stepbrother, because she said that Shay and whoever the molester was are really good friends, that they're really close. So now you put Shay in a predicament as well where she could have been molested. Or maybe she thought because they were the same age it wouldn't happen. I don't know. So Iyanla tells her that she raised her daughter on a lie, so there is no wonder, why they have a bad relationship, and that Shay thinks that she hates her and is jealous of her. But then Alicia still doesn't, buy that Shay believes that she is jealous of her, and that it's all Shay, negative, and don't want to give her a chance. But I got to thinking, like, if Shay has a good relationship with the person that molested Alicia, then Alicia probably is jealous, because deep down inside she's probably thinking, well, why did they, rape or molest me, but then they're being nice to Shay? So she's probably, well, we already know she's confused, but she's probably even more confused as far as, the whole dynamics of the relationship and how she's feeling about herself. And so Iyanla points out that Alicia, has some nerve expecting an honest and authentic relationship with Shay when their whole relationship has been built on a lie. Alicia agrees, to have an open, honest conversation with Shay about her past. And I liked when Iyanla stated that mothers have to share their experiences with their daughters. Otherwise, we all get stuck in that place where mom was broken. So if something traumatic happened to your mother when she was 14 or 15, then she's stuck at that age, and so she never matures to a level where she can guide the daughter and teach the daughter the way that she should go. And so Iyanla gets Shay and Marcia together to figure out what their issues are, because those two were going back and forth at each other in day one when they arrived at the house. And so Marcia says that she was already mistreated by Alicia, and Shay says that she thinks Alicia was favored by Marcia. And I'm thinking, like, all y'all were screwed over by Alicia, so you don't need to be, pitting against each other. And so Shay tells Marcia that their mom was a crack addict, and Marcia, got the good side of their mom, whereas she had to live through the good, bad, and the indifferent. And so when she told the story about the mom and the grandmom fighting over, who were they fighting? I think they were fighting over Marcia, and she said that one had her by the hands and the other one had her by the foot, and they were just like pulling, tug of war with her. And so she was just standing there crying and afraid because she didn't know, what to do in that situation. And so Shay said that she never had the opportunity to be a child because she was always, having to take care of Alicia's kids. And I was like, what in the world must that be like for a small child to be thrust in such an adult role and take on, all these adult responsibilities? And it reminded me of an episode of 60 Minutes that I was watching a couple of years ago, where this lady had created this foundation to it was basically to help young kids be able to stay in school, because I guess it's happening all over the world, but they were located in South Florida, where kids are like as young as 11 years old are missing so much school because they're staying home to take care of a parent who's sick or disabled and watching over their younger siblings, because the parent is afraid to seek help because they're afraid that they may, like DCF or protective services may come in and take the children away from them. So they get the older of the younger kids, because they're all too young to be missing school and taking care of each other. But they'll get the older one and like put this guilt trip on them that they're going to be taken away and put into foster care if that child doesn't stay home and protect them and take care of them. And I just think that that's just an awful predicament. And once again, I don't understand, why do people like that have multiple children? If you can't take care of the one or two children you have first, why is there a 3, 4, 5, 6, and so forth and so on? So then after Shay was talking, Iyanla, began to read, some of the stuff that she said in her interview with the producer. And then she revealed that, she too has missed school to care for, her siblings, because Alicia would come home and be, would leave home and be gone for days at a time and wouldn't come back. And I'm just thinking, okay, I can't relate. I can't relate to the whole drug addiction, the abuse. I can't relate to any of it. So, please forgive me if I seem judgmental, but it just seems like crazy. And so Iyanla points out that, Alicia taught her kids that they were all that they had, and there was no one there to depend on, but themselves. So they learned to fend for themselves and to survive, in this cold world that they were born into. And because Alicia, never thanked Shay, for all the sacrifice that she made, Shay in turn takes the frustrations out on the other sisters, and that's why her and Marcia are always going back and forth at each other. So next she sets them up, for the truth that's about to come from Alicia, and, to let them know that, Alicia is their mom, but they never have met her as a woman, just a woman out there experiencing life, and they don't know the things that she's gone through. And so the girls don't believe that Alicia is going to tell them the whole truth about her life, but Iyanla insists that, Alicia's ready to tell the truth. When she gets all three of the ladies, sitting down, she explains to them that, we're getting ready. We're not going to talk about facts, but we're going to talk about feelings and experiences. So just because the way you look at the experience of what you're feeling doesn't match what the other person is saying, doesn't mean that that wasn't their feelings or their experience. So, they're not there to debate facts. So right off the bat, when they started talking, Shay, starts saying about how Alicia used to be gone for weeks at a time. And then Alicia said that that wasn't true, that she never left them for weeks at a time, that, she may have been gone for a day or for a long time, but never for weeks. And then, Iyanla says that, she breaks it up and reminds them that they're talking about their experiences and not the actual facts. And then she asks Marcia, did she know that Alicia used to do crack? And then Marcia said, I think she said she didn't know. And then Iyanla was trying to get Alicia, to tell the story, but Alicia could never tell the story. She always got to set the scene and, explain why she did what she did before she tells them what she did. And then Iyanla just came out and said, your mama was a crackhead. So then she asked Marcia, how did that make her feel? And she says that, it wasn't hard for her to hear that, she's not there to judge her mom. And, it just takes me back to kids, that no matter how bad their parents treat them or how bad of a life they have, they always want that love and attention, and they are going to stand up for their parents. They're going to defend their parents at all costs, because they just want, to bring them into the fold and let them know that, they are loved and wanted and appreciated. So then Iyanla begins to tell the story about her mom and what it took for her to start dealing, with her mom's issue. And so she tells them that she had to come to terms with the fact that her mother was a drunken hoe in order to be able to get to the point where she can revere her as her mother and love and respect her as a mother. And I'm just sitting there like, Lord Jesus Christ, like, this is too dang on much. So when Alicia blurted out that she had been molested by whomever it was that she was molested by, she said it with like no emotion. It was just like they were sitting there talking, and she was like, girl, I like that yellow dress you have on. She was like, yeah, I was molested. And then she just sat there, while Shay took it all in and then started to cry and break down. And she didn't even move to like get up and try and comfort her or say anything to her. So Iyanla had to get Marcia to get up and go over and comfort Shay. And I'm just like, my God, so Shay, says that she feels violated by both her mother and the person who molested her, that this person could be like such a loving and good friend to her, knowing what they had done to her mother. So she kind of like blames both of them for where she is right now, because they were both dishonest and concealing, the truth about their relationship. And so poor Shay, she just totally broke down, and she was sitting there like crying like a baby. And she says that I think Iyanla asked her, did she want a hug from her mama, and she was like, no ma'am, I don't. And I'm thinking, girl, I don't blame you. So Shay was just so emotional that Iyanla, told Marcia to take her upstairs so she could lie down. And once they leave, Iyanla talks to Alicia and tells her that the only 2 words that she needs to say to Shay or any of the girls is forgive me. Like, that is the only thing that she can say that's going to make this better and make it right. And then she tells Alicia to go on out by the water and sit down in that chair and to pray, because mamas need to know how to pray. And I agree with that, because if your mama can't pray for you, Lord, who can pray for you? And so Iyanla goes on, and she's talking and she's saying that the distinction that the ladies need to learn to make is avoiding, forgiving, healing, denying, and learning to let it go. Then she says that when you're wounded to an unspeakable place, that all you can do is care for the place that you're hurting at in that moment. But by doing that, you just make more mistakes because you're still not getting to the heart of the problem. So it's been a long time since I've cried, until I got to the point where I couldn't breathe. And when they showed Shay again, her and Marcia were out by the lake, and then the other sisters that came out. And I mean, she literally could not breathe. And if you have never cried like that, then you have never been hurt before in your life. And so Iyanla told Shay that it's okay to cry, but you need to cry with an agenda. And I asked her, did she know what her agenda was? And she said she's hurt, she's devastated. And then the camera goes to Alicia, so she's kind of like standing in the background, but she still can't come over and hug her daughters or be a part of the pain that they're feeling. She's just standing there like a outsider who's witnessing this going on, but she doesn't know them and she's not a part of it. So she's like buried whatever she's going through so deep down inside that I don't know how Iyanla's going to be able to pull it out. And one other thing that Iyanla said, because she be having the good little cliches going on. So she said pieces and parts of a story create the breakdown that we end up living. And I thought that was really powerful. There she tells them, let's go inside and sit at the kitchen table and sip some tea. Well, the tea they were sipping when they got inside was Preccious, which she said that she too was molested by whomever molested Alicia when she went to live with the father. And she said it just as nonchalantly as Alicia was telling about her molestation. So I'm thinking like she's definitely repeating the cycle. And so she tells them that she was around 12 or 13 when it happened, and that she told people about it and that nobody believed her. And then she said that she told Alicia, but I guess since the way Alicia put it was that, yeah, she told me, but she didn't tell me who had molested her. And I'm thinking, well, does it damn make a difference who molested her? You are her mother, and she told this to you. It was your job to find out who it was and to make sure, that it didn't happen again and that these people get held accountable. But she was just saying it like, maybe she was sitting at the bus stop and the lady sitting next to her said, yeah, I got molested. And she was like, well, too bad, and kept on moving. And I'm just like, she is so detached, so detached. So then Preccious, asked her how she could give her to the family, when she knew what she had went through with them and what they had done to her. And then Shay says that, she's heard enough, and she starts crying again. And, but Iyanla says nobody can leave the table, that they got to stay there, hear what's being said, in order to move forward. And I'm just thinking, this is just too damn much for me. So I know it was too much for them. And then you hate your mother and still love her, at the whole time hating yourself because of what your mother did for you, and then Preccious says that it felt like she had been fed to a pack of wolves by her mom, and then Alicia, she just, I don't know, she was just sitting there like, I'm sorry, please forgive me, so Iyanla told her to say forgive me, but I think she wanted there to be some meaning behind the forgive me. And when Alicia was saying it to Preccious, it just didn't seem heartfelt or sincere. So then Iyanla says that the violence levered against black women within their families is generational and ancestral. And black women, have been made to keep the secret and end up, losing their voice. So the cycle of abuse just continues and continues. And then Iyanla says that there are 7 tongues sitting at that table, so she needs them to get the chirping and get the talking, because now is their opportunity. And so they're all just sitting there looking at her, and then she's talking about, she hasn't heard any arguments all day, so that's a good thing. And I'm thinking, you haven't heard any arguments today, because they all in shock. Like, I'm sure all the viewers were in shock, because I was sitting there like, oh my God, like, is this really unfolding before me? And so, she tells Alicia before she can go out into the world and give her testimony, she has to testify right here to the church that's sitting around her at this table. Once again, Alicia apologizes, for making them live through her pain. But like I said, it didn't sound sincere at all. And so Iyanla tells her that she needs to tell them who she is, what she's been through, the mistakes she's made, and what she wants from them now. And when she starts to talk to the girls, they're like, hold up, wait, what are you talking about? So at one minute she's saying, oh, but they already know I was on drugs, and they already know this happened, and they know about that. And then the girls was like, because I think Markel said, well, I knew you had did drugs, but I didn't know you did drugs while you were pregnant with me. And then I think Keisha said, well, I didn't know you were molested by these people. So that went back to the whole about pieces and parts of the story that Iyanla was talking about that creates the breakdown, because it seems like Alicia was like giving them pieces of the story, and then they were trying to figure out the rest of the story. So they were creating their own endings to the story that she neither agreed with or denied. She just let them believe whatever it was that they wanted to believe. So now Alicia, wants to go when the girls start, to talk to her and ask her all these questions. And she's pointing out, all the girls' faults and deflecting from the situation. So then Shay speaks up and points out that whenever she has called Alicia to talk about anything, that she was trying to get a mother's response and a mother's perspective to whatever she was talking about, but then it always turned into something else, because Alicia, never dealt with what she was talking about. She always made it about something else. And so you can see Alicia shutting down, and that they aren't going to get through to her, at least not in day 2 of the episode. So Alicia goes into attack mode, and her and Shay, they get into it, and they're just arguing back and forth, and she's just like yelling and screaming at Shay like she arguing with some woman in the street. And then Shay lets her know that, their issues go beyond the whole molestation thing, because they've had problems for, her 35 years of existence, whereas she just learned about the molestation like a few hours ago. So Alicia can't say it's about the molestation and the fact that she was friends with this person that molested her. And then Alicia was just like, I think she just like started cursing at Shay and just really talking to her in a very inappropriate way. And then she curses Shay out and declares that she's done with the whole process, and then she runs from the table screaming that she wants to go home and that they need to call her a driver, and that they told her, she could leave whenever she wanted to, and that she's ready to go. And then they showed scenes from next week, and I don't know how the show is going to end, but the opening seems to be very explosive, and I'm just like, I don't know what to say. I'm just like, oh my God, like I know people live through this, and it's just so sad and so heartbreaking, and and for Alicia to have this opportunity and for her to like still act the way that she's acting, it's just really sad. But I don't know. It is what it is. So, guys, let me know what you thought about this episode. Leave your comments below. Rate the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until next time, I hope everyone has a great week. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.